Karma is a concept in Hinduism which explains causality through a system where beneficial effects are derived from past beneficial actions and harmful effects from past harmful actions, creating a system of actions and reactions throughout a soul's reincarnated lives, forming a cycle of rebirth. The causality is said to be applicable not only to the material world but also to our thoughts, words, actions and actions that others do under our instructions. Origins. The earliest appearance of the word karman is found in the Rig Veda. The term karman also appears significantly in the Atharva Veda. According to the Shatapatha Brahmana, a man is born to the world he has made, and one is placed in a balance in the other world for an estimate of one's good and evil deed. It also declares that as a man is constituted by his desires, he is born in the other world with reference to these. Scholars have generally agreed that the earliest formulation of the karma doctrine occurs in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, which is the earliest of the Upanishads. The doctrine occurs here in the context of a discussion of the fate of the individual after death. The doctrine of transmigration of the soul, with respect to fateful retribution for acts committed, does not appear in the Rig Veda. The belief in rebirth suggests Radhakrishnan, evident in the Brahmanas, where words like punarmrtyu, punarasu and punarajati are used to denote it. Radhakrishnan acknowledges that other scholars interpret certain punarmrtyu verses of Rig Veda to be discussing repeated deaths. However, he suggests that it might also be reinterpreted to imply rebirth, as in, come home once again. The concept of karma first appears strongly in the Bhagavad Gita. The topic of karma is mentioned in the Puranas. Definitions. Karma literally means deed or act, and more broadly names the universal principle of cause and effect, action and reaction, which Hindus believe governs all consciousness. Karma is not fate, for we act with what can be described as a conditioned free will, creating our own destinies. Karma refers to the totality of our actions and the concomitant reactions in this and previous lives, all of which determine our future. The conquest of karma lies in intelligent action and dispassionate reaction. Not all karmas rebound immediately. Some accumulate and return unexpectedly in this or other lifetimes. Human beings are said to produce karma in 4 ways: better source needed, through thoughts, through right attitude, words, through actions that we perform ourselves, through actions others perform under our instructions. Everything that we have ever thought, spoken, done or caused is karma, as is also that which we think, speak or do this very moment. Hindu scriptures divide karma into 3 kinds. Sanchita is the accumulated karma. It would be impossible to experience and enjoy all karmas in one lifetime. From this stock of Sanchita karma, a handful is taken out to serve one lifetime, and this handful of actions, which have begun to bear fruit and which will be exhausted only on their fruit being enjoyed and not otherwise, is known as prarabdha karma. Prarabdha, fruit-bearing karma, is the portion of accumulated karma that has ripened and appears as a particular problem in the present life. Krilimana is everything that we produce in the current life. All Krilimana karmas flow into Sanchita karma and consequently shape our future. Only in human life we can change our future destiny. After death we lose Kriya Shakti and do karma until we are born again in another human body. Some believe that only human beings who can distinguish right from wrong can do karma. Therefore, animals and young children are considered incapable of creating new karma, as they are incapable of discriminating between right and wrong. Tulsidas, a Hindu saint, said, "Our destiny was shaped long before the body came into being. As long as the stock of Sanchita karma lasts, a part of it continues to be taken out as prarabdha karma for being enjoyed in one lifetime, leading to the cycle of birth and death. A jiva cannot attain moksha from the cycle of birth and death, until the accumulated Sanchita karmas are completely exhausted. Unkindness yields spoiled fruits, called paap, and good deeds bring forth sweet fruits, called punya. As one acts, so does one become. One becomes virtuous by virtuous action, and evil by evil action. The role of divine forces. Several different views exist in Hinduism, some extant today and some historical, regarding the role of divine beings in controlling the effects of karma or the lack thereof. Vedanta view. In the theistic side of Vedanta, the creator Ishvara rules over the world through the law of karma. Sankara. In non-dualistic school of Vedanta, the creator is not the ultimate reality. I am God is the supreme truth. The pursuit of self-knowledge is spirituality, and it shares the general concepts of karma, rebirth, samsara ideas found in Buddhism, with some important differences. In a commentary to Brahma Sutras, a Vedantic text, Adi Sankara, an Indian philosopher who consolidated the doctrine of Advaita Vedanta, a sub-school of Vedanta, argues that the original karmic actions themselves cannot bring about the proper results at some future time, neither can supersensuous, non-intelligent qualities like adrsta, an unseen force being the metaphysical link between work and its result, by themselves mediate the appropriate, justly deserved pleasure and pain. The fruits, according to him, then, must be administered through the action of a conscious agent, namely, a supreme being. A human's karmic acts result in merits and demerits. Since unconscious things generally do not move except when caused by an agent, and since the law of karma is an unintelligent and unconscious law, Sankara argues there must be a conscious God who knows the merits and demerits which persons have earned by their actions, and who functions as an instrumental cause in helping individuals reap their appropriate fruits. Thus, God affects the person's environment, even to its atoms, and for those souls who reincarnate, produces the appropriate rebirth body, all in order that the person might have the karmically appropriate experiences. Thus, there must be a theistic administrator or supervisor for karma, i.e., God. Advaita. According to Shivananda, Swami Shivananda, an Advaita scholar, reiterates the same views in his commentary synthesizing Vedanta views on the Brahma Sutras. In his commentary on Chapter 3 of the Brahma Sutras, Shivananda notes that karma is insentient and short-lived, and ceases to exist as soon as a deed is executed. Hence, karma cannot bestow the fruits of actions at a future date according to one's merit. Furthermore, one cannot argue that karma generates a purva or punya, which gives fruit. Since a purva is non-sentient, it cannot act unless moved by an intelligent being such as God. It cannot independently bestow reward or punishment. There is a passage from Swami Sivananda's translation of the Svetasvatara Upanishad illustrating this concept. Two birds of beautiful plumage, inseparable friends, live on the same tree. Of these two, one eats the sweet fruit while the other looks on without eating. In his commentary, the first bird represents the individual soul, while the second represents Brahman or God. The soul is essentially a reflection of Brahman. The tree represents the body. The soul identifies itself with the body, reaps the fruits of its actions, and undergoes rebirth. The Lord alone stands as an eternal witness, ever contented, and does not eat, for he is the director of both the eater and the eaten. Swami Shivananda also notes that God is free from charges of partiality and cruelty which are brought against him because of social inequality, fate, and universal suffering in the world. According to the Brahma Sutras, individual souls are responsible for their own fate. God is merely the dispenser and witness with reference to the merit and demerit of souls. In his commentary on Chapter 2 of the Brahma Sutras, Shivananda further notes that the position of God with respect to karma can be explained through the analogy of rain. Although rain can be said to bring about the growth of rice, barley and other plants, the differences in various species is due to the diverse potentialities lying hidden in the respective seeds. Thus, Shivananda explains that differences between classes of beings are due to different merits belonging to individual souls. He concludes that God meets rewards and punishments only in consideration of the specific actions of beings. Ramanuja of the Vishishtadvaita school, another sub-school of Vedanta, addresses the problem of evil by attributing all evil things in life to the accumulation of evil karma of jivas, and maintains that God is amala, or without any stain of evil. In Sri Bhashya, Ramanuja's interpretation of the Brahma Sutras from a Vaishnavite theistic view, Brahman, whom he conceives as Vishnu, arranges the diversity of creation in accordance with the different karma of individual souls. Ramanuja reiterates that inequality and diversity in the world are due to the fruits of karma of different souls, and the omnipresent energy of the soul suffers pain or pleasure due to its karma. Unlike the Semitic religions, e.g., Abrahamic religions, which believe that God created the soul and the world out of nothing, Ramanuja believed that creation is an eternally recurring cyclic process, and hence God is free from the responsibility of starting it and causing the evils accruing from it. Instead, he believed that karma, the result of the actions of jivas in previous embodiments, causes the good and evil enjoyments and sufferings of karma, which have to be necessarily to be enjoyed or suffered by the jivas themselves, who are responsible for the fruits. Although souls alone have the freedom and responsibility for their acts and thus reap the fruits of karma, i.e., good and evil karma, God as Vishnu is the supreme enforcer of karma by acting as the sanctioner and the overseer. According to Ramanuja, all jivas are burdened with their load of karma, which gives them only enjoyments and sufferings, but also desires and tendencies to act in particular ways, although the moral responsibility accrues only to the jiva, as he acts according to the tendencies and deserts he has acquired by his karma. Ramanuja believes that God wills only their fructification. According to the foregoing concept, God is compared to light, which may be used for forging or for reading scriptures, but the merits or demerit devolves entirely on the persons concerned and not on the light. Furthermore, Ramanuja believes that Vishnu, wishing to do a favor to those who are resolved on acting so as fully to please him, engenders in their minds a tendency towards highly virtuous actions, such as means to attain to him, while on the other hand, in order to punish those who are resolved on lines of action altogether displeasing to him, he engenders in their minds a delight in such actions as have a downward tendency and are obstacles in the way of the attainment of God. Madva, the founder of the Dvaita school, another sub-school of Vedanta, on the other hand, believes that there must be a root cause for variations in karma, even if karma is accepted as having no beginning and being the cause of the problem of evil. Since jivas have different kinds of karma, from good to bad, all must not have started with same type of karma from the beginning of time. Thus, Madva concludes that the jivas are not God's creation as in the Christian doctrine, but are rather entities coexistent with Vishnu, although under his absolute control. Souls are thus dependent on him in their pristine nature and in all transformations that they may undergo. According to Madva, God, although he has control, does not interfere with man's free will, although he is omnipotent. That does not mean that he engages in extraordinary feats. Rather, God enforces a rule of law and, in accordance with the just deserts of jivas, gives them freedom to follow their own nature. Thus, God functions as the sanctioner or as the divine accountant, and accordingly jivas are free to work according to their innate nature and their accumulated karma, good and bad. Since God acts as the sanctioner, the ultimate power for everything comes from God, and the jiva only utilizes that power according to her innate nature. However, like Shankara's interpretation of the Brahma Sutras as mentioned earlier, Madva agrees that the rewards and punishments bestowed by God are regulated by him in accordance with the good and sinful deeds performed by them, and he does so out of his own will to keep himself firm in justice, and he cannot be controlled in his actions by karma of human beings, nor can he be accused of partiality or cruelty to anyone. Swami Tapasyananda further explains the Madhva view by illustrating the doctrine with this analogy. The power in a factory comes from the powerhouse, but the various cogs move in a direction in which they are set. Thus he concludes that no charge of partiality and cruelty can be brought against God. The jiva is the actor and also the enjoyer of the fruits of his own actions. Madva differed significantly from traditional Hindu beliefs, owing to his concept of eternal damnation. For example, he divides souls into three classes. One class of souls which qualify for liberation, another subject to eternal rebirth or eternal transmigration, and a third class that is eventually condemned to eternal hell or andartamas. Mimamsa view earlier historical traditions of Hinduism such as Mimamsakas, reject any such notions of divinity being responsible and see karma as acting independently, considering the natural laws of causation sufficient to explain the effects of karma. According to the Mimamsakas, it is useless to set up a god for that purpose, since karma itself can give the result at a future time. Proof of existence of God from karma in the later writings in the Nyaya school of philosophy. Udayana's Nyayakasu used karma for the last of his 9 proofs of the existence of a creative God. See Nyaya on God and Salvation. Swami Shivananda Saraswati puts it like this. Some people die when they are 80 years old, some die when they are in the womb, some die at 20, some at 40. What is the cause for the variation? Who has fixed the span of life for all? This clearly proves that there is the theory of karma, that there is one omniscient Lord, who is the dispenser of the fruits of the actions of the jivas, who fixes the span of life of the jivas in accordance with their nature of karma or actions, who knows the exact relation between karmas and their fruits.